Hi, my name is Riley Seberg. I am the owner and technical founder of Evolving Software. Evolving Software is a custom software development company, and we build software applications and web applications for people like you. So, today we're going to be talking about web development and how we specifically at Evolving Software add our own touch to it, our own flavor, right? And the way we do this is twofold. The first way is obviously because we're doing it, we're going to be a little bit different from the next person that's doing it. And what I mean by that is every time somebody is doing something, they're always going to have their own individual way of doing it. So that's our own secret sauce, right? Like that's the special factor, so to speak. Now, in terms of what are the tangible things that make what we do special or unique? I would say it breaks down to the technology and how we apply the technology. So, what I realized throughout my course of software development is it's not necessarily getting the job done, and it's not necessarily about using the best technology, right? So, that stuff can get you only so far. Really, what it's about is making sure that you understand the technology that you're using, and not just you, but other people who aren't necessarily experts in the technology that you're using to implement your specific piece of software. And a lot of times that is very difficult for people because they don't have a pragmatic methodology to implement or go about doing this, right? So a lot of times people fail to see the forest through the trees, and it's software may work, but it's a lot of times you you get people with job security, right? Because they build something that only they understand and only they can manage. And I know in our industry, it's common to do that, especially as a company, right? A software development company. But what we like to do specifically is we like to build things so that anybody can understand it and anybody can manage it. So you don't need to be an expert, you don't need to understand the code, you don't need to ever see the code. It just works for you. And the way we go about doing that is first, we test our software. And so we don't just test it, we use test driven development. So I have a video called What is Test Driven Development? I'll link it to this video so that you can continue watching after that. But basically what test driven development is when you're going to write a project or complete a feature on an application, the way we do it specifically is we take it from the requirements that we gather and we co-create with you. We take it from those requirements, we write a test to meet those requirements. Um, and when so the way it works is we write a test to meet those requirements. We run the test fails, right? And then what we do is we break it down. We say, okay, what's the smallest thing I need to do in order to make a step closer to meeting this requirement? We write a test for that. We run the test fails. Then we write the code to make that test pass, and then we run the test passes, and then we say, okay, what's the next thing we need to do to complete this requirement? And usually we have the requirements broken down step by step, right? So it's not just, it's a feature, but we have the feature broken down by task and all that type of stuff. And so on top of test-driven development, we also do Agile software development. So we follow the Agile methodology, and specifically we apply the Scrum framework. So we have a Scrum master here on staff, and if we need to, we can hire more, right? So the goal is to basically have a Scrum master on every project, right? So right now, the way we apply it is we follow Scrum. We don't follow it regimentedly, but we do try to take a disciplined approach when we follow it, right? So if we miss a ceremony, okay, but when we do the ceremonies, we make sure we follow and try to stick to it, right? And try to keep it as professional as possible. And what we've seen is when we apply this methodology, stuff gets done, it's tested, it's proven to work, and not just proven to work from the software side, but proven to work from the stakeholder side as well, right? And so that allows us to follow a faster release cycle, and because of that, our releases or our software is more iterative, right? And it's like now it's a traditional way of writing software. However, I would it's it's very difficult that you'll find it being actually implemented in that way. A lot of times, what you'll see is a bunch of different things will get started, and then they'll slowly get completed over time. We really try to not follow that. We have a bunch of like base, MVP style templates that we can just throw up and start adding features to start prototyping a lot of this stuff. And so the way we do this is pragmatically, and we try to approach this from the understanding that the thing that you're buying is something that you're investing in, right? So it's not something that you want. It's not fast food, right? It's not something that's going to come quick and easy for you, right? So if that's the case, then you at least want to make sure that it's valuable, right? And when I say valuable, I don't necessarily mean it makes money. What I mean is it's of value to you, right? So the thing that I believe into my core is if you hire me, then it's my job to provide 10 times as much value as the money that you're giving to me. And I know that's cliche, but that's what I do, right? And so the idea is to go above and beyond what you're asking for. Because most of the time, you don't necessarily know everything you need. So if I just give you what you're asking for, a lot of times you're actually going to end up being underserved because the professional or the expert or the technician knows way more about what to deliver versus than what the customer knows what to ask for, right? And so a common thing in this industry is unless it's specifically asked for or on the invoice, then it doesn't get done, right? Or on the proposal, it doesn't get done. We don't operate that way. So we have a series or a certain set of practices that we stick to, and we follow these practices and principles to basically get a deliverable every time and a predictive deliverable. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be able to give you time frames on exactly when something is going to be built, because a lot of the times we're inventing technology. So this programming stuff, this web development stuff, this software stuff is inventing technology, right? So every time we write a piece of code, a line of code, we're creating something new. So if you're hiring us to build something, it's because you need something new created. So it's very rare that we can say, unless it's something we've done before, yes, we can give this to you in this amount of time. What we can say is, yes, we can give this to you. We charge this much for this number of weeks, right? And this is how we follow and release our features, right? And so basically, the idea is for you to have a map of things that you would like to have complete over a certain period of time, right? And then we sit down with you and we decide, okay, what's reasonable given the budget, given the team, given the timeline, right? Given the 2-week sprints that we operate in. Okay, so that's how we do things. That's the way we work. What do we use to work? What are the technologies that we use to build these things? So this is very problem specific. This could almost be another video. This is very problem specific. However, what I can say is we are here a JavaScript/TypeScript web development agency. So whenever we do write code, if it's for the web, it's almost always going to be TypeScript. And the reason we do that is because TypeScript allows us to write one programming language and deploy it anywhere. So we can have TypeScript run your React application, and we can also have TypeScript run your server, and we can have TypeScript run your mobile apps as well. So we use TypeScript across the board. It's a very good language. It's written by Microsoft, maintained by them. We also use React for your client-side application for your website or your web app, what have you. And then for the server, we use a series of technologies depending on what the use case is. If it's something quick, we'll often just use a really quick Express server if we're prototyping something. If it's something that needs to be a little bit more constructed, we'll use something like Nest.js. If it's something that's more, content type thing, then we'll use something like Strappy. And so and then, we're open to other tools too. So we work with WordPress, we work with Shopify. I have a video about CMS and all that type of stuff. I'll link to it as well. So those are the technologies we use. TypeScript across the board. Now, if we find a reason not to use those technologies, then we go into looking at something like C# or something like Rust or even Python or PHP. Right, but what we try to do is we try to stick to one language so that it's more approachable for the developers, and it's less cost basically because you can have less developers managing more of the project because they share the skill set, right? So that's how we do things. We use Next.js right now. It's the best framework that we found for production for client side applications. We are currently using it in production on basically all of our client projects, except for the ones that are WordPress and Shopify. So that's how we do things. We do web development. We do WordPress and Shopify too. We're more than welcome to do that. The biggest thing that I didn't tell you about is how we go about this project or process. So we're a design first development agency. So you don't start talking to the developers until you've started talking to the designer, right? And the reason we do that is because when you work with a product designer, then you understand, or the product designer will come to understand the problem that you're trying to solve. And from there, once the problem is understood by somebody on our team, like the product designer, it's a very straightforward process from actually constructing the thing, designing the thing, constructing the thing, and deploying it to you. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, you should definitely click the button below or click the link below if you're watching this on YouTube and fill out the form and get in touch with us. And we will email you back and ask you to schedule an appointment at your convenience. And my name is Riley Seawork. I'm the owner of Evolving Software. And I thank you so much for watching this video.